Hi everybody, this is Anne. A few weeks ago, one of our generous viewers challenged me to figure out a way to decorate pottery using something called a Gelli printing plate. Now, I've seen other people print with these using acrylic paints and paper, but I didn't find much on using it for pottery, so I wanted to find out why. I found a couple sizes of these printing plates in the craft store. They're like a sticky, clear, spongy, flexible mat. You peel off the protective sheets to use them. You can see that, as advertised, it's very gelatinous. The recommended way to use these is with acrylic paints. You lay down several drops of color on the plate, then brayer a thin layer of the paints on the surface until it's covered. At this point, you can add marks, stamps, textures, stencils, or whatever you want to manipulate and add texture to the paints. Then you place a piece of paper over top and brayer that down. When you lift the paper, the design lifts off with it. I was excited to try this with underglazes. I placed a few drops of that on top of the plate and began to roll it. But I was surprised to see that the underglaze just beaded up on top of the surface. I couldn't get it to spread out like the acrylic paints. Then I thought, let's try something else, maybe slip. I put a few drops of the slip on the surface, but it did the same thing. It occurred to me that I needed to use something that would have a little more bite to it so it would stick and spread out. I had this bottle of acrylic matte medium on the shelf, which is very sticky. I put 2 teaspoons of it in a small container, then mixed in 1 teaspoon of mason stain colorant. I stirred it up really well. I repeated this with a lot of different colors that I had on my shelf. I then rolled out a slab for the printing, 1/4 of an inch thick. On the Gelli plate, I put 3 dollops of the mason stain mixes. I braided that down, and it spread out just how I hoped it would. I thought I would keep this first print simple. I used a multi-tip dispenser to create these cool lines. Over top of the lines, I used this leaf stamp to create a pattern over the surface. When I was happy with the design, I laid the clay slab over the top and braided it down to the surface. And here's what I came up with. I love the texture of that pulled print. Now let's make a bowl with it. I sandwiched it between 2 pieces of plastic wrap, then cut out a circle with it using the lid of a pitcher. I removed the excess clay, then pressed the slab circle into the interior of a styrofoam half sphere. I let that dry and then fired it. I really like the texture of the design and the way the colors unify on the pulled print. I can see a lot more possibilities here. Now this one's not high fired yet, but if you stay until the end, we'll show you some of my samples that are finished. Let's see what happens when we overlap 2 prints on the same slab. I started by applying 3 light colors on the plate and spreading that over the surface. Again, I laid a slab over the plate and braided it down. I didn't mind getting stain or brayer marks on the backside of the slab. I'm hoping that that'll make for a fun backside of the bowl in the end. Oh, the light colors give a nice patina to the surface. For the second layer, I stuck down a stencil to the Gelli plate and applied dark colors to the openings. I didn't want the stains to leak under the stencil, so I experimented with how to apply it. I began by pouncing it on with a sponge. That got a lot of color to the plate, but the stains looked a little bit thick on the surface. Let's see if braying it down will clean up the excess stain. Actually, it looked like too much of the stain stuck back to the brayer. Let's try something else. This time, I used my finger to push the stains into the stencil openings. That way I could control where to put the stains and how much stain to leave on the surface. Now that's better. I like that. Now I replace the same slab to the plate and braid it down to create this nice design. I like the pulled texture that you get with this process. Again, I made it into a bowl. I would like to play around with varying the color values to give some push and pull to the design. We saw that we could print the negative spaces of a template. Let's see if I can reverse the process to print the positive image of a leaf. Again, I printed a layer of the lighter colors to the slab. For the second layer, I'm applying the dark colors straight to the plate. I collected some cool leaves from the yard and removed the stems. I placed them over the colors in a random fashion. I placed a piece of paper over the leaves and braided it down. This pulls the stain off the plate from around the leaves. When I removed the leaves, the image of the leaf along with the veins remained on the plate. Now I put the slab over the plate and braid that down. Now you can see the positive image of the leaves. Some of the leaves left better prints than others, but even so, together they make a great design. Again, I chose the best place to cut my circle and made a nice little bowl with it. Here are a few more designs that I played around with. I really like the randomness of the technique and the look of the texture from the pulling process. How fun is that? Thanks to the newest members of our Little Street Pottery Research Facility team. If you'd like to join the team and earn a title, click on the Super Thanks button or the link to buy me a coffee. It also really helps us out if you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. See you next time in the studio.
That's cool, huh?
Yeah, except for the big on there.